Hi, everybody. We are here again in episode 4 of our Stockpress podcast. I'm here with the one and only, and I will always say that because he is unique, Ian Parks. Uh, Thanks, Ian, for being here. Today, we're going to just talk about a very special, not just comment, but topic. Ian, in our last episode, said, and I quote, "Be the human part of the machine." So in last episode, we talked about the importance of relying on automation and relying on AI in order to have a viable business in this day and age, but not forgetting about the human experience and why it's so important. So we wanted to just piggyback off of that the comment and talk through how do you start uh, synthesizing all of this information, all of this data to help data tell you a story, but still supercharge your human and client experience. And that brings me to a story that not too long ago, actually, not this past week, but a week earlier. I was talking to this friend. We linked up this guy that I went to college with. It's been a long time, and he's an expert in market research, user data, analytics, and I was asking a bunch of questions around, hey, like telling the Stockpress stories, right, and asking for advice, and he just dropped some knowledge in terms of how do you better use data and market analytics in order to make decisions, and that got me thinking. I feel that data should be used as a compass, but it should not be used as a North Star, because data, the way how you read it, it can just paint different pictures. It can just tell different stories, right? So we wanted to start there. So Ian, what are some of Stockpress strategies to supercharge that human experience by reading the data, reading the information, but ensuring that you don't lose that human touch?
Yeah, and I think for me, it's a quite straightforward thing. It's about asking questions, and it's about asking questions in a couple of different ways. I think it's about asking questions of people. That's the human element of it, and I don't know. Maybe sometimes we're not great at that. Like we can all be a little bit guilty of kind of maybe thinking we know what's going on as opposed to asking the questions. And I think, fundamentally the better questions you can ask and the more you can ask the people that you want to connect with, about their experiences, about your assumptions, like the better off you're going to be. And I think fundamentally some of those opportunities to ask questions are going to result in anecdotal response. Some of them are going to be able to, result in proper data. And I think, that's probably our strategy more often than not, especially with the stage that we're at, is, we've got to have some assumption, we've got to have some natural instinct that I think probably takes us to a place that, differentiates us from our competitors and what we're trying to do in the market. But yeah, I think asking those questions is a really powerful thing. And a very live, real example of that is we did a very simple LinkedIn poll last week, and the question was around who owns file management in an organization. And we've done a lot of work on our ICPs in the past. And actually asking a question about the specific buyer became really interesting, because we found out that I think it was 43% of people that responded said that actually no one in their organization owns file management. And we can now look at that and understand, well, where's the opportunity in there to almost kind of create the buyer. And I think had we not asked that question, we wouldn't have got some really interesting data out the back of it. But the strength of that data then only goes towards asking more questions about the data. So I think, it's about the front end, like how do you capture that data in the first place? it's about the back end once you've got that data, not just saying, well, that's the data, let's be done with it. It's about saying, okay, what questions does this now raise? And like, what do we need to go out there and do? So in our world, off the back of that poll, we're now saying, well, actually, you know, who does the DAM belong to? Who does the digital asset management platform belong to? And actually, should that be the person or the team in an organization that also owns farm management? So like I say, I think, you know, it's about asking questions at every step of the way, especially when you have got that data, is not just taking that data for granted and kind of using it because, you know, it's there in front of you. And I guess it's kind of same flipping it back onto you, like your experience of some of the ways that data can be used to your advantage, without, again, losing that little bit of humanity that often data can kind of build a wall in front of.
Yeah, absolutely. Like there's loads and loads of information that you can analyze on a daily basis. I mean, you have, you have prospect and client sentiment, you have NPS, you have ENPS, you have interest, you have intent, you have um, all of these different ways to slice and dice the data, right? But I feel that that just tells a part of the story, right? For example, somebody that's just visiting the website every week 2 to 3 times for a month or 6 weeks, are they going to buy, or they're just incredibly curious, or are they a student that are just using the website for a school project? Like, you really don't know until you have a conversation. So personally, the way I've used information in data before in my day-to-day is just to understand what are those like lowest hanging fruits to drive that conversation. Like, say if somebody is happy or rather unhappy about the experience with the website, about the experience with the product, about questions that go unanswered, right? If somebody like signed up to a webinar, like understanding like what are those questions that this person has, or what are those answers that the person is looking for that maybe I can help out with. And not even then can we assume that it's a done deal, that the data is telling us the reality. So a couple of years back, and this story might be a little bit tangential because I'm going to focus exclusively on the experience. A couple of years ago, my dad has owned his business for over 30 years, and this was like 10 years ago. I can't remember, but he asked for my advice because it was just incredibly, and I've been in tech my entire career, so it was incredibly painful to see that he didn't have an ERP. So I was like, Dad, you got to go shopping. You got to buy an ERP. Like, enough is enough. You have to put like everything has to be in the cloud. And he was shopping around for an ERP. He had made the decision, took it to the committee or the decision-making committees, took it to the board. Everybody, boom, thumbs up. And the guy wasn't signing. I was like, Dad, what's up? It's like, what do you mean, what's up? It's like, I'm not signing that link. It's like, Dad, it's a payment link. You just sign. It's like, no. Where's the person? It's like, why aren't they bringing the contract with them? It's like, this director, we've been working for 6 months, and now that I'm going to pay, he's going to ghost me. It's like, no, I had to call the director and tell him, it's like, I know you have this deal in commit. This deal, there's no reason in your mind to feel and to think that you're going to lose this deal. You already have a verbal commit that this is going to close, and yet you are going to lose it for or it's not going to close for something that you didn't foresee. And it was literally just going to my father's office, sitting with the guy for 5 minutes, signing the payment link, the digital payment link, and just having a coffee with him. Yeah. So I can't stress this enough. And I know that with time, like, sales and business has changed incredibly over the past 5-10 years. It's going to continue changing, and we cannot allow for businesses and for people to lose that personal touch,
Yeah.
right? And thinking about, as you start, not just the pre-sales part of the human plus like data and information universe, but also the post sales, like buying a product, implementing that product, using that product. So when you start using a product, right, a new product, how can you blend human and sort of like AI automation into the experience so that the person that's adopting the product feels like you're delivering a pristine experience?
Yeah. I guess again, it's probably starting out with asking ourselves questions about what would we want from that experience. And, there's plenty of data around, user behavior, temporal data in terms of like how long it might take a user to get started, like when do they get to those moments of value. And I think they're probably the biggest things that we're focused on with Stockpress is just trying to get the timing right on the right message, the right opportunity to connect, the right question to ask. I think for me, that's where that kind of business intelligence and data really comes into things, is just being able to kind of pull the right data together. And I guess the way that I would put it in kind of simple terms is, are people on the right track? Are people going off track, or have people gone off the tracks? And actually, I think if you can compartmentalize those three things by the data, it gives you the best possible opportunity to connect with people around success, to connect with people that are kind of wavering a little bit and actually just need a little bit of help to kind of get where they want to be and we want them to be. And then also, like, it just flags up those moments where, like I say, when people have gone off on a tangent or just perhaps aren't finding that value, is returning them to a center point where you can have an honest and simple conversation with them to say, well, actually, like, take us back to what you were trying to achieve. And then it's for us to listen and, understand how we get the most out of the relationship at that point. So like I say, I think, again, it's not trying to overthink the data. It's not, you've just got to have it in the first place to be able to have it at hand so you can actually use it to make a meaningful kind of impact at the right moment. And I think for me, that's how we'll continue to leverage data around the product particularly. And also, those moments where we can see that people are engaged with us, it's a great opportunity to just ask them. And, the key and the art to it is asking the right question, I guess. So yeah, I think from that data perspective, massively important. But again, just to feed the conversation.
And I just tied two and two together because I was thinking through what you just said about, the importance of just, I'm not sure why I'm tying the access to data and information as you as a business having options, right? To know where is the highest probability of success and just focusing your time there. And tying two and two together, I think that the from the product experience is the same thing, right? I personally feel that people are more comfortable when they have options, right? When they have the option to talk to a chat, talk to a bot, talk to a human, call in, email, LinkedIn, like different forms of communications with either a human or a non-human. And I think that is a great topic for our next podcast.
I think you're right. I think that's a great thing to talk about, and it's something that we look back on now, and giving people optionality around how they buy, I think is really important. But yeah, you bringing it back to like this topic, very hard to do that, to give optionality without then having the data to know exactly what role we play in that. So yeah, I think moving on to that next time is a great shout. Really, really good shout.
Yeah. You can't create the options without having data and information tell you what options to potentially create.
No, you've got it. 100%.
Awesome.
Good.
Thanks everybody for listening in. We'll see you next time in episode 5. Have a great one.